Well, you know, actually, the sides were working together. We just had different uh, agendas that we had to accommodate. And that sort of difference of agenda, I think, required some scraping and scratching that it ultimately turned out. All I can say is that I can't make that guarantee because actually the players didn't want to get to where they got to and the owners didn't want to get to where they got to, but they did. My own sense of it is that this is going to be a 10-year deal, not a 6-year deal. That the part and I can't predict after year 10, but I would say to the fans that the compromises that were made, I think, clearly demonstrated that both sides wanted to play, wanted to bring back the fans, wanted to not lose fans, and that's why we're here, and hopefully that same combined sense will help us in the future. That's the best I can do.
The mayor of Orlando essentially has said that this year's All-Star game is tainted because it's coming on the heels of a lockout and the season is short. Do you buy that?
Would you read me the exact words that the mayor said?
I believe he said, I don't have his transcript in front of me, but he said that the city has, or the league has a moral obligation to consider awarding the city another game, perhaps as early as 2015.
We're happy to consider Orlando. It's the Disney World, uh, Universal theme park. I'll meet with the mayor when I get down there and see how we can do. It's a great city. It's got great weather. We could consider it while the NFL is playing the Super Bowl in New York. So I have no problem considering that. And I'd have to know about the hotel stock. If you tell me you've got 6,000 rooms that are more or less close in and the kind of facilities that we need, we'd absolutely consider it. Now I got the camera people shouting out questions. This is a tough city, but good, but good.
Commissioner, you were in Dallas. How Miami look to you?
Oh, they looked absolutely awesome. They came out to play. It's not uncommon for the team that gets the rings or raises the banner to be flat. I've been at a few of those, so I think that Dallas is going to be pretty darn good too. But Miami was playing as though they had something to prove, and I guess they did. And so it was a great game. But we're not going to mail the trophy anyplace yet. There's still a 66-game season to be played, and I think it's going to get very interesting.
In the preseason, the fans seem quick to forgive. No lose here. Have you found the same throughout?
Yes, our fans are really, are giving us more than we probably deserve. They're buying tickets in numbers that approximate last year. It's going to be hard to match last year's numbers because a number of our teams that don't have a large season ticket base are going to have some challenges trying to sell as many games in a week as they're going to play in some weeks. But other than that, the advance sales have been as good. The so-called pre-sales where you allow season ticket holders to buy extra tickets, the corporate response have all been outstanding, and our network partners are absolutely delighted. So we think we're going to do okay. It's not going to be our best year, but it's going to be a very good year considering what we've been through.
How do you think the play will be affected?
We'll have to see. Our guys are, every time, the one thing I do know is that every time someone drops a pass, Jeff Van Gundy can say, see, we should have had more training camp. And every time someone sprains an ankle, on the first day of camp, someone sprained an ankle. You see, they're not getting enough camp. Well, wait a minute, there's a first day of camp every year, and those ankle sprains come. But you're going to see everything that says the play is sloppy, the injuries are climbing, etc. But I think it's actually going to be great. We had a great year last year. Our players stay in shape year-round. They played in exhibitions. Many have played overseas. It's going to be just fine. I believe that.
How would you say the product that you're putting on the court now? You've been around for a little bit. How would you say it compares to this, a couple of decades ago?
I have to be very careful because Oscar Robertson has a different view than I have. But I think our athletes are extraordinary. I think they're playing a game at a level that is does make them the best athletes in the world. That said, having been around for longer than a couple of decades, I'm not going to, when Oscar does a triple-double as his average for the season, and Bill Russell has more rings than he has fingers, we had some great players. They played a different game at a different time, but if they had to be here today, I think they'd be playing at the highest level as well. But it's been consistently. The main difference now is that when you think about it, Russell and Chamberlain, which has now been romanticized in a good way, they played in relative anonymity compared to our players today. There was a game, an errant game on Sunday and a local game. There was no ESPN. Yes, Virginia, there used to not be an ESPN. There was no ESPN 2 or ESPN News or ESPNU or ESPN 3 or Versus or Fox or anything. And, LeBron probably had more exposure in high school than some of our great athletes of the past had when they were playing in our league. So now there's a whole different pace. And with Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, it's changed the exposure and sort of the truth a bit sometimes, but that's the way it is. And so I think our former great athletes don't get a fair shake by comparison. So I'm fans of both in a big way.
Susan Bible from Hoops World. Does Oklahoma City hold a special place for you?
It actually, in some ways, it does, because I shared a lot of Clay Bennett's angst about the move, about everyone saying that a small city like this could not support a team, that the NBA was making yet another mistake. And I've probably visited Oklahoma City more than any other city other than New York, where I live, in the last several years. I was here for the first visit to see how it was going. I can't even remember now. I think I was here when Clay got into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, so I learned all about that. I was here for opening night. I was here for playoffs. I was here for all kinds of things. And it's really sort of like the little engine that could. It really has been a magnificent thing to watch, that the small town label has been discarded. It's about management, it's about the city government, it's about the corporate community, and it's about the fans coming together to say, this is the way it's going to be. And I know, I was here when the Hornets tipped off here, and I was here when they played their last game here. That's why I've been here so much. I forgot. Mental lapse. So I have nothing but great admiration, and for Mayor Mick. I come from New York, where we have a Mayor Mike, and then I come to Oklahoma City, where we have Mayor Mick. I don't know if anyone calls him Mayor Mick here, but I've been calling him Mayor Mick forever.
Speaking of the Hornets, how long do they prepare to own them before you have to do something?
Well, actually, I knew you wrote about that. Actually, we are talking to several interested buyers, and we expect to complete a sale in the first half of 2012. The timing is a little rough, because there are certain commitments that the state is in the process of making to us on a longer-term basis, so that we will execute a longer lease, and the legislature has to endorse those. And that session doesn't start, the legislative session, until March. It runs from March to June. But we hope to identify a buyer, I would say, in the next, the final buyer in the next 60 days, and then have an agreement of sale subject to close when the legislature endorses the deal that's been struck. It'll be good for New Orleans, and it'll be good for the NBA.
We'll take two last questions.
Jessica Creedy with CBS is late in Oklahoma City. A lot of people have picked the Thunder to be one of the favorites to win the West. Do you think it's good for the league, for a small market team like Oklahoma City, to be one of the real contenders?
I have spent or misspent an entire professional career making it possible for small market teams to compete. Going back to, I wasn't commissioner then, but Bill Walton and the Blazers, Karl Malone and John Stockton, San Antonio, Orlando, which used to be a small market, but now it seems that any community that has sun is treated as a big market. Miami was not a major market destination until 3 players decided to get together there. So we think it's great when we can demonstrate that teams can compete in this league regardless of the size of the market that they represent. I think San Antonio is the best example of that. But you know, Memphis would say, hey, what about us? We did well. We knocked off those Spurs, and here we are. And I think Oklahoma City, with a young team, which is getting the seasoning that it got last year, is going to be a serious contender, and that's good.
Last question. When you mentioned those teams, those small market teams that have made it, but obviously there's been other ones like Vancouver and other ones who weren't able to do as well. What do you think is the main ingredient that a franchise like the Thunder has that maybe those didn't make?
I'm going to give you an answer that always ticks off half the owners. Management. That's what makes the difference. Management that markets the team right in the community, management that views the team as a community asset and gets out in the community doing the kinds of things that are socially responsible, management that works with city leaders, management that makes fans think that they're losing sleep worrying about the competitiveness, and management that puts the best team together. That is true in all of sports, and as they carry me out, in some cases, being waved out by owners who don't like me to say it, that will be the answer across all of sports. It's about management.
You don't worry about your legacy?
I'm not, yes. To quote Rashard Wallace, we all played hard. Okay, that's what I'd like. I played hard, and you can't do anything perfectly, but that's there we go. And if you worry, I don't even have a camera, and I don't because if you spend your time taking pictures, you won't experience it as well as just being it. And I enjoy being it, and and I play hard. Thank you very much.